Well, it's that time of year when they say Christmas is coming, the goose is getting fat. Please put a penny in the old man's hat. And if I got a penny, 6 pence will do. If you don't have a penny, then God bless you. Actually, going to be talking about animals today. Not to be maybe the most politically incorrect animal, but I think if you'll see the apolitical reference to it, you'll see why it might be a good topic for. While I go get my hair cut, Brother Mark, Turner Syndrome, butterflies in life. You'll have to forgive me. We'll get a better car stand for next time. In case you hadn't noticed, I got a new car. I think Andrew and Brooke Consalvius and I have something in common. We both got new vehicles this week. So we'll see how this goes. Short version is that 84,000 miles the transmission on last car went out, and it was either do I want to get a 4,000 trade or a 3,000 transmission job. So I was like, okay, I'll just absorb the negative equity. So that's that story, and I've already spilled coffee on it. So I guess Brooke and I now have something in common. I saw the video on it, so I'm like, oh well. Well, just because we made mistakes don't mean we are one. I kind of go with a topic that nobody wants to talk about, and it's what's known as the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room. Let's try something for a second. Nope, it's wintertime. We're gonna have sun. The elephant in the room presupposes is that one thing. It's that one family secret, or it's the one work secret. It's the one secret. It's the one thing that nobody wants to dare talk about. Because, heaven forbid, if it did, it'd be the end of the world. The family reputation would be ruined. What about the name of the Browns? The Fitzwilliam family would be thrown into disgrace. What would it do for butterflies? Well, actually, quite a bit. There's a lot of elephants in the room. My experience, and when I've heard about elephants in the room that nobody wants to talk about, and everybody's trying to cover it up, and everybody's trying to be in denial and keep their best face going on, and invariably it's a veritable soap opera of drama and bullying, and because nobody wants to deal with the elephant in the room, even though not dealing with it is almost emotional appendicitis. I'm sure there are a lot of butterflies because their upbringing, that a lot of their conditions were hush-hush. I've spoken to a few. And today I think there's a lot of good supportive things, but I've known a lot of butterflies that their condition was just not talked about. And boy, they're really paying for it today in terms of self-esteem. And I know that my own learning disabilities were actually about as hush-hush as alcoholism was at one point. Alcoholism was that elephant in the room that nobody talked about. It was a moral stigma, and if anybody's an alcoholic, all you could do is drum out society. And then, thankfully, Alcoholics Anonymous came by in 1933, if I'm doing my memory right, 35, and there were alcoholics helping other alcoholics, and then there was acceptance of it. An elephant in my family was my uncle committing suicide back in 1979. Nobody wanted to talk about his depression. Nobody wanted to talk about his work failures. I mean, it was just like he was just kind of, it's just sick Uncle Ross. It was just shoved off into the corner, left to fend for himself. And there's nobody there to support him, and then ultimately on October 11, 1979, he took his own life. In the aftermath, yes, it was very painful. Painful for all of us. Yeah, for those who were still around, it was very painful. But one thing I do remember, looking back many years later, was those that actually dealt with the pain and owned it, didn't let them own them, but processed their grief, processed everything that went with it, all the anger, all the sorrow, all the talking about it, all of, this is my fault, that maybe I could have helped my dad. These are my cousins talking, obviously. Maybe there's something I could, maybe as his nephew, could have been something, but my parents don't want to talk about it. They were just angry that they had to deal with the topic, angry that they had to, that they had to deal with it. Well, in retrospect, the ones who worked through the grief, who worked through the secrets, who didn't hide the information, were the ones who actually were the family members who actually became stronger, who actually became healthier. And as a matter of fact, my parents and my sister want nothing to do, and there was a lot of blaming and a lot of anger and a lot of victimizing of anybody supported and anybody grieving after my Uncle Ross. But the ones who dealt with it were the winners. The ones who dealt with it, they became stronger. And our family, our extended family, and our cousins and my aunts and uncles, the ones who really worked through the issues, were the ones who were really the healthier. We dealt with that elephant in the closet. We didn't ignore it. The other thing about elephants in the closet, if you stop and see, if you took it literally, first, or the elephant in the room, I should say. God, you ever try to hide an elephant in a closet? It don't work too well. But the other thing with the elephant in the room, it takes up a lot of room. It's kind of hard to deny. Look out for the face! That was my 300-year-old face that was made from the Revolutionary War. Okay. Elephants make lots of messes. After a while, when you have an elephant in the room for a while, you try to ignore it. It does kind of stink after a while. There's a little insanity about trying to ignore things and pretending they're not there. In the Turner Syndrome community, a lot of us are dealing with bullying, and a lot of us have just had it up to here. And I think a lot of butterflies now realize there's an elephant in the room. And I think there are people who are not dealing with things. And it's rather strange, but I've heard, we don't have any bullying in our community. Well, obviously we do, or Amy Jo Tallaric would have done a series of, or I would have done a series of videos on it. So, obviously it's there. I can tell you from my own experience, I've had things in my life I didn't want to deal with. But when push came to shove, it was really important for me to come clean, to confess my sins in a safe community, not where somebody's going to judge me, not where somebody's like, Mark, how could you do something so stupid? No, you don't want that. You don't want somebody saying, see, I told you so. That just really creates a lot of shame. No, you don't want that. You don't want that. But I think in the Turner Syndrome community, we've got some elephants. And I think that we know that there's some people that instead of wanting to deal with their own issues, decide to take it out on others instead of just owning. Or even if there are problems, the nice thing that, with the exception of the elephant in the room, I have had problems in the disagreements with other butterflies, but we talk about it. We see where each other's coming from. We're quick to apologize, and I'm certainly willing to eat my humble pie a la mode if I have to, and I have. And it's been a learning experience, and I've grown from it. Step 10 of Alcoholics Anonymous says, continue to take personal inventory, and when we're wrong, promptly admitted it. So, I've learned to own my mistakes, but not let them own me. And the ones who deal with the pains and the hurts, the habits, the cover-ups, the bullying, the displaced anger. I could say bullying, from my own personal experience, it's either the abused becomes the abuser. I can't pick it somewhere outside, so I'll take it out on somebody else, and that's not healthy. A lot of the bullying that I've seen is also out of response, out of fear, and boy, I'm guilty of that one too. I must confess that in my freshman year of college, I had an abject fear with a woman with a disability. Now my fear, I'm not proud of it. I gave that girl just so much grief. I made my amends. We've actually talked, and we've actually had some really healthy conversation. We found out where each other was coming from. And I think I say it was freeing for all of us. And sometimes there are consequences though if it escalates. And sometimes you have to think, maybe this has gone too far. I'm reading the post on Facebook, and a lot of people are having it up to here. And there's little cryptic messages. So, of course, in our recovery community, our higher power is self-defined, but I still love an old preacher. He used to preach in the soup kitchen in Cleveland, and I can still remember Larry Blake said, if you mess up, and you fess up, God will bless up. It's cheesy? Oh yeah. But you know what? Sometimes we have to admit that we're powerless over hurts, habits, and hang-ups. And sometimes we have to admit that we're powerless over we're powerless over our own secrets. And we're only as sick as our secrets, so it's good to tell the truth and tell it faster. And if we confess our sins, there are some of us, including some of the perpetrators, who realize there's a God that's ready to forgive of all unrighteousness. And it kind of goes back to good old Larry Blake when he used to preach in the soup kitchen in Cleveland. It says, if you mess up and you fess up, God will bless up. So, I also, again, I've had times, especially when I look at Mindy Goldberg, that was the gal that I just gave unrelenting grief back in college. I was so merciless with her. When I came clean, 2 words made all the difference in the world. 2 words. When I came clean with Mindy and I apologized, I told about all the bad things I did to her. 2 words made it all right. Apology accepted. Yeah, it's hard. I know there's been times in my life where, looking at the consequences, I've just had to swallow my pride I've had to just swallow my pride and just come clean. But when I do, then I bring me to what I call the 12 steps, and then I learn about, that I'm powerless over the hurts that I cause. I'm powerless over the insanity that all the games that I played. I admit how unmanageable my life is, and then there's a power greater than myself that can restore me to sanity. I could tell you, there are some butterflies, because their bullying, could have some of the most dire, life-changing consequences. But I think the ones who have the courage to say, yeah, I messed up, the ones who have the courage to say truly what's on their heart and mind in civil discourse, the ones who realize I've wronged people, those are going to be the ones who are going to be the heroes. So you can hide in it with the elephants in the rooms, but after a while, after having your $300 vase broken up, there's a squirrel that would not budge, so there you go. Or, now before we got interrupted by the squirrel, I think the ones who have the courage to come clean, I think those are going to be the winners. And the other neat thing is they can help others. Oh, you've got problems with bullying. These are things that I've learned. Yeah, I had problems with fear and reading into things that weren't there. This is how I've been able to help others. Oh, you have that problem too? Yeah, you're not the only one. But recovery, it's hard work. But to borrow from that old MasterCard commercial from the 80s, it's priceless. And that's a gift worth having this time of year. As always, take what you like, leave the rest. But I pray, Lord, I pray that the entire Turner Syndrome community will have the courage to confront the elephants in the room, and that we could really bring healing and recovery and a renewed sense of how to help, to educate, advocate, and just for all of us, butterflies and friends, just to make this place just a better place. Hit the subscribe button, I can't use Amy's line, but I hope at least it generates some good discussions. So until next time.